plague tale, Innocence. Set against the backdrop of war, disease, and fear, A Plague Tale, Innocence is a hauntingly emotional journey through medieval France. You play as Amisha, a teenage girl who must protect her little brother Hugo as they flee from the horrors of the Inquisition and a world overrun by plague-bearing rats. But what unfolds isn't just a survival story, it's a quiet, human drama about love, sacrifice, and holding on to innocence when the world wants to crush it. The game's greatest strength lies in its atmosphere. Everything feels oppressive: the muddy streets, the decaying villages, the whispers of terrified citizens. And then there are the rats, thousands of them. They scurry through darkness like a living curse, avoiding the light and devouring anything in their path. They're not just a mechanic, they're a symbol of the rot and terror that define the world. The stealth gameplay is simple, but the tension it creates feels real. Every encounter feels like it could be your last, but beneath the danger is a beating heart, the growing relationship between two siblings who learn to trust each other, even when everything else is falling apart. A plague tale. Innocence doesn't overwhelm you with options. It focuses on emotion, pacing, and storytelling, and it does so with incredible care. It's not loud or explosive. It's quiet, powerful, and unforgettable in its own way. Astro Bot. Astro Bot may look small, but it's a celebration of everything that makes platforming games magical. Originally designed to show off the capabilities of the PlayStation's hardware, this title does far more than just demonstrate features. It turns them into gameplay magic. Every vibration, every motion, every button feels purposeful. The way Astro interacts with the world, jumping across tiny platforms using gadgets and discovering secret paths, turns each level into a miniature adventure filled with surprises. Its visuals are clean, colorful, and full of charm. The game oozes personality, from the way enemies animate to the hidden Easter eggs, referencing PlayStation history. And while it doesn't offer deep combat or a complex story, it shines in its ability to constantly surprise you with creative ideas. Astro Bot isn't trying to be epic, it's trying to be joyful, and it succeeds completely. It's the kind of game you could hand to anyone, gamer or not, and watch them light up as they play. In a world full of open worlds and cinematic drama, this game reminds us how powerful tight, focused design can be when executed with passion. Dragon Quest VI: Echoes of an Elusive Age. Dragon Quest VI stands tall as a love letter to traditional Japanese RPGs, and yet it feels anything but outdated. It delivers a grand, sweeping tale of destiny, magic, and ancient evil, all wrapped in a vibrant world full of charm and color. From the very first town to the final battle, it captures that nostalgic sense of wonder that defines the best of classic role-playing games. What makes this entry shine is how much care has gone into every detail. The turn-based combat is smooth and satisfying, offering enough flexibility to stay interesting without ever becoming overwhelming. The cast of characters is diverse and lovable, each with their own story, quirks, and moments to shine. Whether it's a moment of comic relief or heartbreaking sacrifice, the writing always knows exactly how to hit the right tone. The world itself is beautifully designed. Bright meadows, eerie ruins, and mystical cities are all brought to life with bold, cartoon-like visuals and a sweeping orchestral score. It invites exploration, not through endless markers or side quests, but through genuine curiosity. This isn't a game that tries to break the mold. It refines it. It's long, it's rich, and it's built with care and confidence. For anyone who grew up with turn-based RPGs or wants to know why the genre still matters, Dragon Quest VI is a masterclass in how to do it right. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth isn't just a sequel, it's a reimagining of one of gaming's most iconic legacies. Continuing the ambitious remake project that began with Final Fantasy VII Remake, Rebirth expands the world of Gaia far beyond Midgar and introduces players to sprawling new regions, deeper character arcs, and some of the most breathtaking visuals Square Enix has ever produced. What makes Rebirth so fascinating is how it plays with nostalgia. It doesn't simply recreate the original, it reinterprets it. Familiar characters like Cloud, Tifa, Aerith, and Barrett feel more alive than ever, thanks to expressive performances and more nuanced writing. Their personalities evolve, their relationships deepen, and their personal struggles are brought into sharp focus. Combat continues the hybrid system of real-time action and tactical commands, and it feels even smoother and more refined here. Each character has a distinct role, and mastering their synergy leads to incredibly satisfying moments during battle. Boss fights are cinematic and intense, demanding both strategy and fast reactions. But perhaps the boldest aspect of Rebirth is its willingness to surprise. It's not afraid to change the rules, rewrite events, and introduce unexpected twists. That makes the journey feel fresh. Even for veterans of the original, the emotional moments hit harder, the quiet scenes linger longer, and the world feels more alive and dynamic at every turn. Rebirth is an epic, no doubt, full of spectacle and weight, but it also finds time for intimacy, humor, and quiet reflection. It's a game that respects its past but isn't chained to it, and that's what makes it so powerful. Cyberpunk 2077. When Cyberpunk 2077 launched, it was a mess. Bugs, crashes, and broken promises nearly buried what could have been a legendary title. But fast forward to now, that with major updates, the Phantom Liberty expansion, and countless fixes, and Cyberpunk 2077 has transformed into one of the most immersive RPGs ever made. Set in the neon-soaked, morally bankrupt streets of Night City, this is a game that thrives on atmosphere. The world feels dirty, alive, and bursting with both beauty and danger. Every alley hides a secret. Every district has its own flavor, from the high-tech towers of Corpo Plaza to the lawless chaos of Pacifica. It's a place you feel as much as you see. You play as V, a mercenary fighting for survival while slowly losing control of their own mind to the digital ghost of Johnny Silverhand, played with raw charisma by Keanu Reeves. The narrative dives deep into themes of identity, control, freedom, and legacy. And though the main story is gripping, it's the side content that truly elevates the experience. Emotionally rich character arcs, morally gray choices, and consequences that linger. Combat and RPG mechanics have come a long way since launch. Gunplay feels punchy, hacking is powerful, and builds now feel genuinely diverse. Whether you play as a silent netrunner or a walking tank with gorilla arms, the game gives you room to play your way. Cyberpunk 2077 is a lesson in redemption. It went from one of gaming's most disappointing launches to one of its most compelling sci-fi stories. Now, it finally deserves the spotlight it always aimed for. Devil May Cry 5. Devil May Cry 5 is pure, unapologetic style. It doesn't try to be subtle or grounded. It knows exactly what it is, a fast-paced, over-the-top action game where looking cool is just as important as winning. And in that lane, it absolutely dominates. This is the return to form fans had been waiting for. After years of uncertainty, Capcom delivered a game that blends the best of everything DMC has ever done. Tight controls, flashy combos, and a cast of characters that feel more fun and polished than ever before. You alternate between three protagonists, Nero, Dante, and the mysterious V, each with their own combat style, personality, and weapons that drastically change how you approach every encounter. The combat is the true heart of this game. It's not just about defeating enemies, it's about how you do it. Launching a demon into the air, juggling it with a sword, then blasting it across the arena while pulling off a perfect dodge. That's the DMC experience. It rewards creativity, rhythm, and flair. You don't just fight, you perform. Visually, Devil May Cry 5 is stunning. The RE engine makes every monster, every crumbling city block, every slice of Dante's sword look crisp and fluid, and the soundtrack, full of pumping metal and stylish electronic beats, fades directly into the game's energy, making you feel invincible when the beat drops as your combat rank climbs. It's not the deepest game narratively, but it doesn't need to be. The tone walks the line between serious and ridiculous perfectly, leaning just enough into camp to stay fun without ever losing momentum. Devil May Cry 5 knows its audience and delivers exactly what they want, dialed up to 11. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Jedi Fallen Order brought Star Wars back to the kind of game fans had been craving for years. A single-player, story-driven adventure that actually lets you feel like a Jedi, and not just the all-powerful kind, a vulnerable, hunted, and uncertain one. The result is a journey that blends galaxy-spanning exploration with challenging lightsaber combat and a surprisingly personal story. You play as Cal Kestis, a former Padawan forced into hiding after the fall of the Jedi Order. His journey is as much about survival as it is about rediscovery, of purpose, of hope, and of the Force itself. The game doesn't rush to make you powerful. It builds slowly, letting you earn each new ability through experience, not just level ups. That pacing gives weight to your growth, and by the end, Cal truly feels like a Jedi. The gameplay is a blend of styles. There's a Souls-like combat influence, with enemies that punish careless attacks and require precise timing. But there's also a healthy dose of Metroidvania, where new powers unlock new areas and secrets across multiple planets. From the tangled jungles of Kashyyyk to the haunting ruins of Dathomir, each world feels distinct and worth exploring. Visually, the game nails the Star Wars aesthetic. The environments, creatures, sound design, even the way your lightsaber hums in a quiet hallway, it all feels right. And the score, while original, fits perfectly alongside the legendary sounds of the franchise. Fallen Order is far from perfect. The technical hiccups at launch and occasional clunky platforming hold it back a bit, but what it nails is far more important. It captures the spirit of Star Wars. The loneliness, the bravery, the internal conflict. It's not just about swinging a saber, it's about what it means to carry one. Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. Sekiro is a brutal, elegant dance with death. It's not a traditional action game, and it's certainly not a typical From Software title either. Where Dark Souls and Bloodborne were all about builds and experimentation, Sekiro strips everything down to one core idea: mastery. You have one sword, one path, one goal. Get good or die trying. Set in a mythologized version of Sengoku-era Japan, the game puts you in the sandals of Wolf, a shinobi bound by duty to protect his kidnapped lord. But the plot quickly spirals into something much deeper, blending samurai cinema with Japanese folklore, monsters, immortality, and betrayal. It's not just a war story, it's a story about letting go. What separates Sekiro from anything else on this list is how uncompromising it is. Every enemy can kill you, and every boss demands full attention. But it's never unfair. It teaches you. Every death is a lesson, a chance to get better, to see the pattern, to strike at the perfect moment. The parry system is a masterstroke. Instead of dodging endlessly, you learn to stand your ground, deflect at just the right second, and turn defense into offense. It's combat as conversation, fast, tense, and razor sharp. The world is stunning too. Quiet temples, snow-covered castles, burning fields, everything is soaked in atmosphere. Even the sound of footsteps on a wooden floor or wind whistling through broken gates pulls you deeper into this world. And then there are the enemies. Grotesque beasts, legendary warriors, terrifying spirits, each more memorable than the last. Sekiro doesn't hold your hand. It demands patience, precision, and focus. But once you break through, once you overcome what felt impossible, it delivers a feeling no other game can touch. Not pride, not relief. Something more ancient, like you've earned your place in a story written in blood and fire. Days Gone. Days Gone is a game that didn't get the praise it deserved at launch, and that's a shame because beneath its rough edges lies a gripping, emotional, and deeply immersive open-world experience. It's not a revolutionary game, but it does so many things right that it slowly wins you over. What starts as a story about survival turns into something far more personal and human. You play as Deacon Saint John, a former biker turned drifter, navigating a post-apocalyptic Oregon 2 years after a deadly pandemic has turned much of humanity into feral creatures known as freakers. At first glance, it's easy to mistake this for another zombie shooter, but Days Gone sets itself apart through its tone, pacing, and character work. The game's world is vast and beautiful, but it feels lonely. Forests stretch for miles, highways are cracked and overgrown, small towns sit in ruin, and through it all, Deacon rides his motorcycle, the game's most important companion. You refuel it, repair it, upgrade it, and rely on it completely. It's not just transportation, it's a symbol of freedom in a world that has none. Combat is tense and brutal, especially when you encounter massive freaker hordes, hundreds of infected swarming you with terrifying speed and coordination. These moments are some of the most heart-pounding in any open-world game, but there's also a quiet side to Days Gone. Moments around a campfire, old flashbacks of lost love, or driving through the rain while the radio plays softly in the background. What really elevates the game is Deacon himself. He's not a superhero. He's broken, grieving, angry, and slowly, very slowly, healing. His relationships, especially with his wife Sarah and best friend Boozer, are given time to grow and breathe. By the end, you care about them in a way that feels earned. The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom is not just a sequel to Breath of the Wild, it's a creative leap that dares to rethink what exploration, discovery, and player freedom can mean in a video game. Where Breath of the Wild gave us a wide-open sandbox, Tears of the Kingdom gives us layers of it. Sky islands, underground depths, floating puzzles, and a world that feels both familiar and entirely new. You once again step into the boots of Link, waking up in a crumbling Hyrule after a cataclysmic event shatters the very ground beneath your feet. But this time, time, you're not just climbing mountains and gliding through valleys, you're building machines, crafting flying contraptions, creating solutions to challenges that no developer could have possibly predicted. That's the magic here. The game gives you systems and then gets out of your way. The new abilities like Ultra Hand and Fuse are game changers. They allow you to combine objects in the world into fully functioning vehicles, weapons, and tools. You're not just solving puzzles, you're inventing the tools to solve them. That level of freedom is rare in modern gaming, and almost unheard of in something this polished and vast. But what truly elevates Tears of the Kingdom is how it balances chaos with calm. One moment you're rocketing across the sky in a homemade glider. The next, you're quietly exploring a forgotten cave, solving ancient riddles. The storytelling is subtle but impactful, with echoes of past lives, lost civilizations, and a kingdom struggling to hold on to hope. Visually, it builds on Breath of the Wild's art style with more dramatic lighting, richer weather effects, and grander set pieces. The soundtrack is equally minimalist and powerful. Moments of quiet piano suddenly bursting into full orchestration when discovery strikes. Tears of the Kingdom is less about following a quest marker and more about following your curiosity. It trusts you to explore, to fail, to experiment. And that trust is what makes the journey feel so personal. It's not about doing everything perfectly, it's about doing it your way. Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. Uncharted 4 is everything a final chapter should be: emotional, grand, reflective, and absolutely spectacular to look at. It's the end of Nathan Drake's journey, and it carries the weight of his past adventures with a maturity and quiet confidence that earlier games in the series only hinted at. This time, Nate is out of the game living a quiet life, trying to settle down with Elena. But when his long-lost brother Sam reappears with unfinished business and dangerous debts, Nate is pulled back into the world of pirates, ancient ruins, and globe-trotting treasure hunts. What follows is a story that isn't just about finding gold, it's about confronting who you are when the adventure ends. The narrative digs deeper than ever before. Relationships are tested, lies are revealed, and Nathan, the charming rogue we followed for years, is forced to reckon with what his obsession with the past has cost him. The writing is sharp, grounded, and more character-focused than any previous entry. It's not just about what happens, and it's about why it matters. Gameplay-wise, Uncharted 4 refines everything. Gunfights are smoother and more dynamic. Climbing and exploration feel more open and organic, and the addition of the grappling hook adds a whole new layer of movement and creativity. There's more freedom, more verticality, and more space to breathe. And then there's the world. From stormy Scottish cliffs to sun-bleached Madagascar plains, every location is a visual masterpiece. Naughty Dog's attention to detail borders on obsessive small animations, shifting facial expressions, background conversations. It all feels alive. Combined with the stunning soundtrack and pacing that never lags, it's hard to look away. Uncharted 4 isn't just a blockbuster, it's a farewell letter. A quiet look back at a life lived on the edge, and a hopeful glance toward what comes after. It sticks the landing, not with a bang, but with something even better: closure. Black Myth: Wukong. Black Myth: Wukong is the kind of game that instantly grabs your attention, not because it's part of a famous franchise, but because it looks and feels like something completely new. Built on Chinese mythology and inspired by the classic novel Journey to the West, this game promises to deliver a fantasy experience that's equal parts mystical, brutal, and mesmerizing. You play as the Destined One, a monkey warrior wielding a magical staff, able to transform, manipulate elements, and battle gods, demons, and beasts straight out of ancient legends. The action is tight and weighty, reminiscent of Souls-like combat, but with more flair, fluidity, and a unique Eastern elegance. You dodge, parry, leap into the air, and every hit feels like it matters. It's a combat system that rewards precision, but also gives you tools to feel creative and empowered. What sets Black Myth apart is its world. This is not just another medieval fantasy. It's dripping with cultural detail, from the architecture to the enemy designs, from the music to the mythological creatures that populate every corner of its twisted landscapes. Fog-covered bamboo forests, shattered temples, corrupted heavens. The environments are surreal and terrifying, but also stunningly beautiful. Black Myth: Wukong isn't just a game to watch. It's a game that looks like it belongs in the upper tier, a bold reinterpretation of myth with the potential to leave a lasting mark on the action RPG genre. God of War. God of War is a masterclass in reinvention. What was once a bombastic, rage-fueled action series about a screaming Spartan became something deeper, a story about fatherhood, restraint, and what it means to leave behind who you were to become something better. Kratos didn't just move from Greek to Norse mythology, he evolved, and in doing so, he brought the entire franchise with him to a level of emotional and mechanical depth that few expected. The game opens quietly: a funeral, a forest, a father and son. Kratos Kratos and Atreus set off to fulfill the final wish of Atreus' mother, to spread her ashes from the highest peak in the 9 realms. But as with all great journeys, this simple goal becomes something far greater, an epic, brutal, and deeply personal odyssey through a fractured mythological world. Combat still feels powerful, but now it's slower, weightier, and more tactical. Kratos' new weapon, the Leviathan axe, is a revelation, satisfying to swing, more satisfying to throw, and downright euphoric to catch mid-fight. The addition of Atreus as a companion adds a new layer of strategy and emotional resonance. He's not just backup, he's a symbol of Kratos' second chance. What elevates God of War beyond its combat, though, is the storytelling. The relationship between Kratos and Atreus is messy, subtle, and beautifully paced. The world is crafted with incredible care. The Lake of Nine, Alfheim, Helheim, every realm is packed with lore, secrets, puzzles, and sights that stop you in your tracks, and it's all delivered in one continuous, unbroken camera shot, an astounding technical and artistic feat that makes the entire experience feel immersive and intimate. God of War is brutal and tender, ancient and modern. It's about gods and monsters, yes, but more than that, it's about family, guilt, and the long, hard road to redemption. It's not just one of the best action games ever made, it's one of the most human,